In this video, I'm going to be talking about 4 ways in which we are essentially masters at keeping ourselves stuck in our current ways, and how it's actually, and by not being aware of them, we actually continue to keep ourselves stuck in the same place and having our wheels spin over and over and over again. And by the end of this video, the goal is to have a little bit more awareness of it. And in fact, you'll be able to actually pinpoint your favorite methods in which you do it. Might be all of them, might be 1 or 2 of them. But as you start to bring more awareness to it, you'll start to recognize it and you'll be able to pick it up. So with that, let's jump right into what is actually even causing these 4 things to appear and to keep us stuck in that particular area. And for the purpose of this video, I'm going to be referring to that part of us as the ego. And the ego is basically something that roots us into a way of being that is oriented around survival. And when what it's wanting us to do is just to survive into our day-to-day lives. Doesn't care what we're doing. As long as we are alive, it is wired to do that, and it will keep us there. And more often than not, the ego is what keeps us unconscious to our day-to-day life. And one of the hardest things for a human to do is to be conscious and present to the moment that is right now. So from a moment to moment basis, this is one of the hardest things to do. And oftentimes what we do is we fall into the unconscious. And when we're into the unconscious, we then have this drive to act instinctually to the things around us. And so this has us engage in behaviors and activities that are not in alignment with who we are or what we're looking to achieve. So if we're looking to, make a new sales script, grow our business, find a new relationship partner, start a new weight loss diet, anything that is essentially growing our current comfort zone, that was going to require conscious, present effort to find changes. This is where the ego is going to come in and say, whoa, let me just help you survive. What are you doing? We were doing so good before this. Why are you coming in and doing this? It doesn't really care about what your goal, your ultimate kind of like your higher self goals and your betterment goals. It just cares if you are surviving. So what are some of these 4 methods? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's jump right in there. Number 1 is distractions. Now, all these 4 methods, they're not really in any particular order. It's just, I find that for me, distractions are probably number 1 on the list. It is anything that dulls our mind to be disassociated from the very thing that we're looking to achieve. And so if you were to look at our actual human bodies, in a lot of the spiritual work that I do, there is, we define ourselves as we have our body, we have our mind, and then you have the higher self, which is your spirit or your soul. I like to refer it as a spirit, and I'll use it for this video. So what happens is, as we're engaged in a particular task, the distraction comes in, and it's designed to keep us numb, to numb out our minds and our spirit goals, to focus and increase our focus on our bodily kind of level goals. And what these goals usually are is to, usually consume more food, buy more clothes, get pain out of my body, numb the pain out of my body right now. So this could be through substance abuses. That doesn't even have to be an abuse. It could just be through just regular drinking, regular smoking weed or whatever. We can also engage it through numbing our minds completely with video games, movies, social media. Our entire society is really built on ways to distract ourselves and to numb out our minds and spirit selves and have us focusing in on our body level self. Number 2 is, what did I want to talk? Yes, forgetting. I almost forgot about it. There you go. It is actually a lot easier to forget than it is to remember. This sentence really struck me the first time I had it because I forgot it many times after that. And I kept reminding myself to remember this sentence because, yeah, I have the tendency to forget all the time. I forget what I was going to do. I forget even what I'm going to do tonight. I don't know. I had something planned, but I can't even get to that. And so when you go to engage in this new particular activity and task that you're looking to do, very often not, you're going to find that you're forgetting to do it, or you're forgetting to do certain critical aspects of it. And in doing so, you forget about the whole thing altogether. And all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, wasn't it a Tuesday and I was supposed to go to the gym with my partner and do this? I completely forgot about that. Number 3 was, Number 3 was bringing the past into the present moment. And we're experts at this. So there's a previous experience that you've had in where you've got potentially hurt or didn't have favorable results, or Billy said this to you, or Jackie went off and did this. Remember how embarrassing that was? And so when you start to engage in this new task, all of a sudden you find yourself having all of these memories. And if it's not in the form of a memory, it's in the form of how an emotion or a feeling throughout your body. And you're like, all of a sudden I feel down. What is going on? Well, that is you bringing your past into the present moment. And this is how we actually lock ourselves into the past. And then as we continue to lock ourselves in the past, we're essentially repeating the same things we did before. And therefore, you can then project our future. So our past is projecting our future. And so even though we're here right now, we're actually living in the past and projecting that onto our future. So you basically know what's going to happen in your life. Keep going the way you go. And then lastly is something more subtle. Not particularly more subtler. I think all of these methods have their more obvious and their more subtler versions in which they kind of show up in our lives. But the last one is obsessions. You'll find yourself obsessing over things that didn't matter as much before. And so they're starting to come to the forefront of your mind with a lot more frequency and a lot more intensity than before. Example, chores. All of a sudden, you have this greater this need to go and vacuum your house and to sweep that corner that you never touched and to clean under the fridge, which who does that? It'll just come up. Or what you might start obsessing over is things that are not in the right order. So instead of working on the present moment and what this is, you start to obsess about the end result, or you start to obsess around step 5 or 6 when you're on step 1, and you start to think, oh man, I'll never be able to get here. And so by comparing yourself to that, you then start to demotivate yourself, and then before you know it, you've either forgotten it or distracted yourself with something else, and you go from there. So that covers 4 ways in which I believe we are all masters at, and there are many, many other ways in which we do this. However, what I'd like for you to do is, now that it's fresh in your mind and we've just covered this, can you identify your favorite methods in which you do this? And by doing this, by bringing awareness to it, just that alone is usually enough to see a considerable change if you haven't engaged in this kind of work before. And anything you bring into your awareness, anything you bring out of the shadows, out of the dark side that you don't even want to look at, loses its power as you bring it into the light, into the present moment. And one technique that I'd like to leave you off here with, that I find that works exceptionally well at this, it's not always the most enjoyable technique, but it works nonetheless, is to set a 10 or 15 minute timer in which you do this particular activity. So not only can you not forget to do it, you have a timer set out. So let's say it's at 6 o'clock at night, you just have to do this for 10 to 15 minutes. You sit there and you give yourself a choice. I can sit here and do absolutely nothing, or the only other thing that I can do is this task that's going to at least just do something that's going to move me in that general direction of where I want to go. And watch your body squirm. Like, watch what comes up. Especially depending on what the actual task is, you might find yourself all of a sudden fidgeting. You might find yourself reaching for your phone without even thinking about it. You might find yourself thinking about all kinds of different things, or finding excuses to not even set the timer, or why you can't do it in this particular way. But it is a phenomenal exercise in actually being able to see what pops up. And if you find yourself not able to do the actual task, sit there and see what comes up. If the distractions are coming up, write it down. Now it's no longer in the back of your mind. Now it's actually written down. You can actually see it. You're like, aha, I do tend to want to run away from this every time I do this. So with that, I conclude this video. And just to recap a little bit, is that we have a part inside of us when we engage in particular activities and things that we want to do to expand our comfort zone. Oftentimes this requires our conscious attention, but we are used to operating usually in an unconscious way that is usually not in alignment with ourselves. And this is the ego coming in and trying to keep us safe. And the ways in which it keeps us safe is by, we covered the distractions, we've covered forgetting, we've covered obsessions, and number 3 was, bringing the past into the present moment. And really your best tool about going about all of this is to bring awareness to them, identify them so that you can pick up on it better, and then try that exercise about 10 to 15 minutes where you sit down and you see what comes up as you gauge that task. So with that, take her easy, and see you in the next video.